Hi, everybody. Welcome to Two Guys Talk Cleveland Sports. I'm Tim Shirer.
I'm Joey Schneider.
And we have a guest with us tonight, Bryce Zachy. He is going to be starting school in the fall, right, Bryce? College? Going to be a journalist?
I think we may have lost Bryce.
We may have lost Bryce. But Bryce will be with us here. Bryce is a star on Twitter, MOB Euphoria. Can you hear me now, Bryce? Nope, we lost him. He's, hopefully he'll come back in. But, Joey, we got a lot tonight. You know, we got a lot going on.
And I want people to understand that some teams, this is one of the few times. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Well, we got to read what the show is brought to you by. CT Roofing and Power Wash. You could call 440-278-0506 for a free estimate. They can help you with roofs. They can help you with, a deck. They can help you with siding. Yeah, power washing. I spent a couple days with them last week when they did a roof, and let me tell you something. That's hard work. It looks like Bryce is back. Bryce is back. You there, Bryce?
I'm here. I apologize for the crash there, fellas.
Oh, that's okay. Don't worry. We had a show a few weeks ago where Joey, I believe he lost transmission at least 5 times.
I think I think your anger just actually.
I kind of did crash out during that show, as the young guys say, and that could have been it. But one thing before we get to sports, like I did last week, I want to mention it again. Gas prices were $1.59 cheaper on November 5th, 2024 than they are today. Let's move on.
Also, quick note, we are probably going to spend a little bit more time today talking about the Guardians than we normally do.
Yeah.
So, everyone, hope you're Guardians fans because you're in for a treat.
And Bryce, I invited Bryce to stay the whole show. I wanted him on during the Guardians for sure because Bryce is a huge Guardians fan. He's been to many Guardians games. Bryce is not from Cleveland, though, but he has been to many Guardians games. Bryce, you start college in the fall, right?
That's right. I actually am in the process of moving my way out, and I'll be in Knoxville, Tennessee here in a couple of weeks.
You're going to Tennessee?
That's right. I'll be at the University of Tennessee here in a couple of weeks. So it's a very, very exciting time in my life for sure.
That is awesome. And I got to tell you, doing I told you earlier that I covered the Cleveland Rockers in 97 through 2003. And they used to put on a college tournament every year. 4 women's teams would come. And 3 of the 4 were MAC teams. And I believe Pat Summitt was friends with somebody in the Cavs Rockers organization. And Tennessee would come every year, too.
That's amazing. There's nobody like the late, great Pat Summitt.
Oh, I met her. I interviewed her a couple times. And wow, she was an amazing human being. And her players respected her so much. I used to think, wow, she's so mean. But no, she coached the right way.
So you're saying, one of the people that you hope is a good person when you actually get to meet him and she met and exceeded your expectations?
Oh, she just did. She was so nice to me. And but
it's always good.
Yeah. So congratulations on being a Tennessee Volunteer, Bryce. That's awesome.
Thank you very much.
And so we're going to move on to the Guardians. The Guardians are 57-56. They've 3-7 in the last 10. They've struggled. They're 3 games behind the White Sox in the Central, currently the 3rd wild card in the American League. They're a game ahead of the Twins. But they made, from what I'm hearing, they made a couple moves today. Actually, the first one, I about crashed my car because I was so happy. And then my son called me and told me about Foster Griffin. And I'm sitting in my car.
You actually crashed your car that time.
Yeah, I was so happy. And then they trade for Nathaniel Lowe. And, I'm like, oh, my God. I'm so glad they traded for that guy because I can't stand him because he kills the Guardians. So let's ask Bryce, since Bryce is our guest. What was your first reaction, Bryce?
So my first reaction. Cool. That's great.
Yeah.
But they had to do more. I felt like if that was the only move of the day, I would, myself and many others would have been very disappointed with what had happened. I think Joe Adell is a fine player. He has a role on the Guardians for sure, but I don't think that could have been the only move. And for a number of hours after that, it was radio silence. So I know I was very happy to see the Foster Griffin trade specifically. I think that is an excellent move to really help with the rotation depth and give another guy who can go win you a playoff game. I think that trade is a really good one, and they really didn't give up much to get him.
No, they didn't.
I was thrilled with all of their moves, really. They didn't give up any guys that I was particularly high on. And then, of course, the Lau trade at the very end before the deadline was just the cherry on top, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Joey, what is your thoughts? What were your first thoughts? I knew you and I were texting back and forth.
Right. Well, I liked the Craig Yoho trade from a couple of days ago. I thought that was.
I
think that he's got a lot of potential. He's only 26. He's only been pitching for 3 years. So I think he could be a really good setup guy coming out of the bullpen. We got Joe Adell, which, I think that the Guardians hitting staff is fantastic. And I mean, look at all the players they get on base. There's a lot of walks,
coaches.
What did I say?
Hitting staff.
Whatever.
Well, you know me, Joey. I gotta I mean,
if I say coaches, then you have to say managers. If I say managers, you have to say coaches.
Well, the manager's the manager.
The
manager's the manager, Joey.
I've heard him say pitching staff. I've never heard him say pitching coaches. I think you're wrong, Tim. All right. Anyway,
I covered minor league baseball 20 years. I think I might.
Yeah, I covered it for 1, so I'm right there with you.
That's true. Yeah. Okay, so go on.
No, I think the Guardians is a good landing spot for him. I think that he's going to learn to take quite a few more pitches. I mean, you look at this lineup and a lot of walks, but not they're what are they 29th in the league and with runners in scoring position. So bringing in Adell, I think you're going to get that pop that you were hoping. I mean, he's obviously going to already be the number 1 home run hitter on the team.
I'm hoping, but there are a couple negatives to him compared to Manzardo, which I'll get to.
Well, I think that's more of a thing with Nathaniel Lau than Joe Adell.
Oh, I don't think so.
Well, Adell's going to be in the outfield, and Lau will be first base, DH.
Well, yeah, but if you go on,
I think Nathaniel Lau is a good pickup. You don't really want to call him a journeyman because he's been a solid player his entire career.
Well, that's why he's been so many places.
Yeah, I mean, this is his 6th team, but he was. I think he had a 30-game stretch this year where he was injured, but he's hitting .266 with 12 homers, 17 doubles, 37 RBIs, and this is the second best OPS of his career. He's at 820 right now. 2022 was his best, which I believe was 851. So I think that, he's someone, you got two guys with, combined over 100 RBIs, hopefully going to knock some of those runs in. And then obviously the prize, I think, is Foster Griffin. And, we gave up Will Dion, Josh Hartle, Nick Mitchell, and God, I do not know his first name. I'm not going to try. Right-handed pitcher, Vergez from the minor leagues. But yeah, I mean, Foster Griffin, just 12-3, 31 years old, pitched his last 3 seasons in Japan, throws 7 pitches, and just changed his eye level. Just nasty. He was 31-year-old, and he was in a race for the National League Rookie of the Year.
Okay, well, so my thing is, they traded, the first person that, the first domino that fell when they traded for Adell was Juan Brito was DFA'd. But then they came to terms with the Reds and traded him to Cincinnati for cash considerations.
I think that was after the Lau trade.
Well, they just can't. It just was announced then.
Right. Okay.
It was announced. They were announced at the same time.
Yeah, I think
trades with. Yeah.
I think Brito was just the corresponding move for Adell. I think that was the.
Well, he was, but then they got cash for him from the Reds.
Right.
I immediately, don't get me wrong, I love these moves today. But I guess I got to be devil's advocate a little bit because everybody always, thinks that I'm, do you ever say anything negative about the Guardians? Well,
yeah, you do.
I do. And,
you do.
For the longest time, people thought that I never did, but I do.
Don't bow down, Tim.
I have two things. Joe Adell strikes out more than Kyle Manzardo.
Very true.
Joe Adell walks less than Kyle Manzardo.
Also true.
Joe Adell's on-base percentage is lower than Kyle Manzardo's, as well as his OPS.
You are 4 for 4.
And Kyle Manzardo is now at Columbus. So I'm not sure there why, but I would have released Rhys Hoskins. The other thing, and I know they love the lefty-righty theory, right, Bryce?
It's not an exact science. I get annoyed with them for doing it as much as they do. They love to live and die by the platoon.
They live and die by it.
It's a little aggravating at times, but
yeah.
I don't think we've ever talked about it, Tim, have we?
No, like every show.
It's not something that annoys anybody about the Guardians, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, but also the Juan Brito thing. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't think of this. It didn't come in my head. Somebody said something, and then I was like, oh, God, yeah. No, it popped in my head immediately when I saw that they sent him to Cincinnati for cash. Bryce, you won't know. You may know who this is, but you probably were pretty little if you even saw him play. Joey. It immediately reminded me of when they traded Brandon Phillips to the Reds. And what happened? He became a all-star, and he had a lot of great years. I feel like we might have this all over again. And if we do, good for Juan Brito because he wasn't getting the shot here.
That's a very good possibility, yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever hear of Brandon Phillips, Bryce?
Oh, did we lose Bryce again?
Lost him again. It's I don't know. But so that's the, I guess that's, I don't know if that's the negative, but that's just what I think. We must have lost Bryce. Hopefully he'll come back in. But yeah, I mean, you got good. Joey sent me Joey spent the day doing a ton of research on these guys. As he said, Foster Griffith, 12-3. Griffin, 12-3. I have a real hard time with Griffin and Griffiths. I do. I'm just terrible at it. We had a kid a couple years ago on Wycliffe, David Griffin, and I called him David Griffith, over and over again. So, but he's 12-3 with 3.06. Was originally, as you said, in the Royals farm system, went to Toronto for a season, and then he played in Japan for 3 years, and that's probably where he developed some of those pitches.
I'm assuming I didn't get that far to it, but yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of movement on his pitches, and that's a big thing over there.
Hey, there's Bryce. He's back. So Bryce, do you know who Brandon Phillips is?
I'm familiar with Brandon Phillips. And
yeah, okay.
While it's easy to make the comparison because it's a very similar kind of move, I was never Juan Brito's biggest fan.
Okay.
I think he never had a path to play much in Cleveland. If I remember correctly, he came up as a third baseman, and obviously that spot's taken.
I think.
Shortstop, that might make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, he came in the Nolan Jones trade.
That's right.
Yeah.
But the infield spots here are quickly filling up with Rocchio, Bazana up the middle. Obviously, Jose is going nowhere.
Yeah.
And he never showed enough bats to justify changing his position around.
I didn't think he really got a lot of at bats here. That's the problem with the Guardians, though.
Yeah.
They don't give these young guys a chance. They give them like 2 weeks and send them back.
Now, you might be right, but that brings me to my next issue with him is his glove is just atrocious.
Oh, it's horrible.
He doesn't have a position because he's bad at every position he plays.
That is true.
Brandon Phillips was a good infielder.
He was a good infielder.
He was smooth at second base.
He had some really spectacular plays at second base.
The only reason he did not play his career as a Cleveland Indian was Eric Wedge did not like him. And that was it. Spring training, they just traded him and he went on and had a great career. So we could thank Eric Wedge, who I believe is coaching at Wichita State now, his alma mater, for that. But it's different because, like you said, Brito was not getting a chance here. There was no place for him.
Yeah, I have very few qualms about letting him go. If the Reds are going to turn him into the next Junior Caminero and make me eat my words, then so be it. Then
yeah, well, that's a whole nother story. But the thing is that Terry Francona probably saw him because I believe he was in the system 1 year with Francona. So he may have seen him in spring training. So maybe Francona likes him. Maybe Francona thinks there's something there. They might take a shot on him. You know what I mean?
Well, I could see it. I don't know what his path is to regular playing time if his glove is still that bad.
Bryce, maybe or maybe even Joey. I don't know. But I have no clue. When the Guardians just played the Reds, is Will Benson back down at AAA or is he hurt?
That I do not know.
He was nowhere.
I can do a quick search for you and find the answer to that question.
I'm thinking he's back at AAA.
I will say with Juan Brito though, they gave cash considerations. They didn't give up any players for him, so it's very low risk for the Reds, and it could potentially be high reward. Just depends
and cash considerations are usually, if from what I understand, if it's still the same. I was told several years back, probably almost 10. There we go. It's always between $150,000 and $250,000 that teams, give in those cash considerations. And what most people don't know is those cash consideration deals, that money a lot of time goes to paying like instructors they bring in, like roving instructors in the minor leagues and things like that. I found this out while covering the captains, from a guy that only worked in the organization for 1 year. He did the video for Lake County. And he was unbelievable. His name was Nick. And he came from the Padres. And he was just unbelievable. He'd win the attendance contest every night, Joey. Yeah. So, Bryce, did you find anything out about Will Benson?
So our final declaration on Will Benson is he's currently in AAA.
He's in AAA. They sent him down. I always got the feeling, and I could be wrong about this, but I always got the feeling that Francona wasn't a really big fan of him.
I don't know if there's anything to that. I know he was well liked when he was in Cleveland. I know he's still good friends with Stephen Kwan, if I'm not mistaken.
I covered him at Lake County. He had 4 home runs in a game one night. He's a great guy too. He's such a good guy. Soft-spoken, just a really big guy. Oh my gosh, he was. He could have gone to Duke to play basketball. So, but so they. Those moves, the Joe Adell move, they've coveted Joe Adell for a while.
They have, yeah.
I had Joe Adell. It took him long to develop. I had Joe Adell in my minor leagues on one of my fantasy teams for like 4 years. Well, and I finally released him prior to last season.
He's on my team this year, so now I have a guardian on my team.
Because Al Pulowski, who used to own your team, picked him up as soon as I released him. I thought I could release him and he wouldn't know.
For some reason, I didn't release him because I'm like, okay, obviously Al Pulowski is going to know more than I do about Joe Adell. And, and this is, the one thing that we got to remember is, okay, Joe Adell, number one, he's only 27 years old. He's still young.
Yeah.
And he's only a year removed from hitting almost 40 homers. He had 38 homers last year. Yeah. 38 homers last year with 37 with 98 RBIs. He might be that guy that I've always talked about, might only hit, 220, but he's going to hit 40 homers. I'll take that any day of the week.
Top of the lineup's pretty good. Top of the lineup's pretty good now. Bryce, speaking of fantasy, how did you like the Fantasy Hockey League?
The Fantasy Hockey League is quite fun. Growing up in Pittsburgh, don't want to anger too many listeners.
No, being a Penguins
fan. I am a Penguins fan.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So we're on the same side. Yeah.
Jaromir Jagr was my favorite player growing up.
Oh, he was great. Yeah. Back when I used to sell hockey cards or sports cards, he was the highest hockey card for a while.
Yeah, I kind of grew up around here in the era of Crosby, Malkin, and Fleury. So those guys were obviously the first real sports figures.
Yeah, those guys, great players.
I think last show you were just talking about Mario Lemieux, weren't you, Tim?
Well, no, I was talking about Sidney Crosby.
Sidney Crosby. That's right.
Obviously, Sidney Crosby is your probably one of your idols hockey-wise, right, Bryce?
Absolutely. Just a stand-up guy in every aspect.
Do you remember when he got his 665th goal to end the season?
Oh, to end the season this year?
No. For 665th goal of his career, and it was the last goal of the season. Do you remember what
happened? Was it in Columbus?
No. It didn't really matter where that happened. But I told Joey last week, we talked about this on here, it was a genius scheduling move by the NHL. The opening of the next season, who do you think the Penguins played to open the season?
I feel like it's always like New York.
Close.
Well, it would have been his 666th goal.
Oh, they play the Devils.
Yes.
That's well
How
played.
about that?
Well played.
Oh yeah, that was amazing. Like that was a great move. So you've been to a lot of hockey games.
Absolutely. My family had season tickets growing up at the old Mellon Arena and then over to the new place. And I can confidently say that was my entryway into loving sports is through the Penguins.
The Mellon Arena, also known as the Igloo.
That's right. The one and
the
only.
Igloo. Oh yeah. Before I was married, and just did whatever I wanted, we would travel around and go to hockey games. That was before the Columbus Blue Jackets existed even. We would drive up to Buffalo quite a bit, to the old Odd, to see the Sabres play. They were terrible. The arena was very old, but it was cool to go up there and see games, I wish Cleveland had an NHL team, but I don't think they could support it with everything else.
I don't think so.
Especially with WNBA now coming back. They're a little packed.
Yes. Yeah. So, but the Monsters are very popular here. So that's a good thing. I think they have the highest attendance in the AHL every year.
I think that's true.
Yeah. So, but I guess we should get back to the baseball. So Brito was DFA'd and then picked up by the Reds for cash. David Fry and Kyle Manzardo have been sent to Columbus. As I said earlier, I don't like that. I would have rather seen Hoskins released.
Hoskins, yeah, that's a tough one for me, even though he's batting low.
What do you think, Bryce?
I think we talked about the righty lefty of it all earlier. And
yeah.
While that is overblown to some degree, I know the Guardians love it. I think Hoskins is he's an average bat. He's fine, but I think he's very important to the locker room there. A lot of those guys look up to him, but he's not as bad as people say he is. The batting average is low. He strikes out a bunch.
He's a liability defensively.
Yeah, he's not great. I don't know. I think as the secondary first baseman now with Lau coming in, I don't think that he's worth getting up.
Okay. Well, the thing is, I just feel like developing Manzardo is more important than keeping Rhys Hoskins on this team. But Hoskins as a first baseman, I knew he wasn't good defensively before he got to Cleveland. I knew this when he was in his second year in Philadelphia, because there was a scout that was scouting the Lake County Captains, and he was a Philadelphia scout, and we talked about the Phillies and everything, and he told me then, the Phillies will never win a World Series as long as Rhys Hoskins is on their roster. And I was like, wow, that's pretty, and he said it was because of his defense, so
real quick, Tim, we got Brandon T. Ott from Facebook. Hi, Tim.
Ott.
How did you like the moves the Guardians made today? How about a quick
we
summary?
like the moves. Brandon, you're late. Brandon's a regular viewer, so I've known Brandon for years. But we all three of us like the moves. We like it improves the team. It's the best, in my mind, it's the best trade deadline the Guardians have ever had, and it's the best trade deadline for the organization since 2016, in my mind.
And I do want to say this too. I think, I keep saying, some people saying, well, why didn't we get this guy? Why didn't we get that guy? And, some of it does come down to money. And, but the one thing that you have to say about this trade deadline is they filled almost every need that they had. They filled
a lot of needs. Absolutely. Yes, they did. Now they have to stop platooning.
They got a guy who can hit for power. They got a guy who's consistent, and the power guy obviously is being Joe Adell, someone who's a little more consistent with Nathaniel Lau. That you got a really, you got an all-star.
We got to get moving though.
An all-star pitcher in Foster Griffin, and you got a good up-and-coming relief pitcher. You can't ask for anything more.
I was going to ask you guys about Foster Griffin real quick, because I think that is the biggest trade of the day to me, purely from it gives you 3 starters in Messick, Williams, and now Griffin. You can put on the mound in a playoff game and feel really good about it.
Well, and here it is. ESPN, who normally hates Cleveland in everything. I was watching baseball tonight, and they did their power rankings. I sent the picture to Joey.
Mm-hmm.
And I called my son, and I told my son to sit down because he's probably going to pass out. But ESPN had Cleveland number 1 in their power rankings in the American League after the trade deadline. And one of the reasons they said was because of trading for Foster Griffin. Their words were, he's the second best pitcher available after Tariq Skubal.
I don't disagree with that.
That is amazing. And they got him.
Yeah, I think their downfall a lot of the last couple of years in the playoffs has been not having starting pitching that can get you there in the playoffs. In 2024, they were running out of guys, right? They were having to throw 3-inning starters and then bullpen games, which didn't work for a prolonged run. We had Alex Cobb make playoff starts like on his last legs. So I think having now 3 bona fide, not aces, but high level starting pitchers that can just take over a game is key. Don't
always count a staff out that if they have some injuries and guys that aren't good, because I know you were a little guy. You were probably like 8 or 9 in 2016.
I'm only 19, Tim. I remember.
They had a ton of guys hurt then, and they got all the way to Game 7 of the World Series.
Cleveland, but I agree 3 times in one series.
Yeah,
I agree with you. Think about it. They're 4 starters if they have to use 4 in the playoffs. Parker Messick.
Absolutely.
Gavin Williams.
Big rig.
Foster Griffin. And Tanner Bybee. Slade Ciccone will come nowhere near the postseason roster.
No, absolutely not.
In fact, I'd like to see him permanently move to the bullpen and send Matt Festa packing.
I agree with you. My problem is? I think Slade Ciccone is uncoachable. I think he is.
I think you've said that before.
And I think that's why Arizona gave up on him.
I'm interested as to why you think that. I'm not saying I disagree, but
well, they pretty much said it during broadcasts.
Really?
That he's admitted that he's been stubborn when they've interviewed him and things like that. So, and that was the report when he got traded from Arizona. So, what I see is him repeating the same things over and over again, and that's how you don't improve. Speaking of pitchers who are not coachable, Zach Plesac is now an independent ball. Which
sure, the walls in that independent ball stadium are quaking in fear.
Think of that. Think of him. He's now an independent ball.
Maybe a little thinner walls to punch there. He might not.
Oh, he's something. I just he played at Lake County. He was a nice guy. We interviewed him several times. He was a nice guy, but I just don't know what happened. It's crazy. But so I think we should probably move on to the we mentioned that Gabriel Arias is still here, and that's mind-boggling. So I think everybody agrees on that one.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we should move on to the Cavs. Let's go to the Cavs. And Bryce, if you want to stick around, you can. I cover the Cavs. And last year was very frustrating. I'll tell you that. During the regular season, it was very frustrating. And part of the playoffs were good. The first 2 rounds were good. And then the Knicks series was not. And, I'm not sure what they're going to do. I'm not sure what else they're going to do. I'd like to see them bring in Jonathan Kuminga. It sounded like they were going to, and now that seems to be cooled off.
Mm-hmm.
Harden will sign eventually, I believe.
I
don't see where he's not going to. But I don't know. There's not a lot there right now. Have either of you heard anything? What about you, Bryce?
I think there's just been a lot of disappointment in the general Cavs fandom and Cleveland fandom because of the whole missing on LeBron deal. I think.
Did we lose Bryce again?
Oh my gosh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll come back on, or he'll.
I totally thought I was still here.
Oh, there we go. You're still here.
I almost got cut off. I think they put a lot of eggs in the LeBron basket, and now to see the LeBron thing go by the wayside, it's really thrown a wrench into their plans.
Yeah, it is, but I would hope they were smart enough to have a backup plan.
I'm not sure that they do.
I think they're a pretty smart front office. I think they're very similar to the Guardians front office. I've talked to Kobe Altman a few times at Media Day and a couple other times, and he's a pretty smart guy. A lot of common sense, but I think they thought they were going to get LeBron. I thought they were going to get LeBron from my indications. From what I heard, they were getting LeBron, and
I never thought LeBron was coming here.
Well, so
you were right, Joey. Gloats.
I have been. The anger in Tim's face.
But I did hear this, and I will give LeBron some credit, even though I was not happy that he didn't come back. Reportedly, he did call Dan Gilbert the day before to explain to him what his reasons were for going to Philadelphia. And it was the only team of the rumored teams that he personally had contact with. So he at least felt enough where he respected Dan Gilbert enough to give him a call and say, this is why. This is what the reasons are. And I respect that, although it also could be the motive of, I still want that statue. So I'm going to call him and try to soften the blow.
Well, you've heard the new rumors now about who else might be joining LeBron in Philadelphia.
Who?
Supposedly, the rumors are that Drew Holiday is going to work.
Oh, no, that's not a rumor. Shams already confirmed it today.
Yeah, and he's going to go to Philly.
That team is going to be scary.
That is going to be a very scary team.
I don't believe it. I don't think it's going to. I just remember the Brooklyn Nets from several years ago when they were going to win the whole thing, and it fell apart.
That is true, but when you're looking at a team where their backup is an all-star, you're like, oh, Maxey went down. Oh, Drew Holiday's coming in. Oh, okay.
I'm not sold. We'll see, but since we don't have a lot to talk about with the Cavs, let's talk about the new Cleveland WNBA team that it will be unveiled on tomorrow. I'm sure we'll wake up to it. And it's going to be called the Cleveland Sirens. And,
if you haven't followed,
we had it first, Joey. We had it first. Remember,
we did.
And Saturday we had it first.
They have been. Hear the call is the. Seems like it's going to be the phrase, and it's a lot of stuff from the Cleveland WNBA Twitter account coming out now, and everything is pointing towards the Sirens, which is I think just a great name.
Yeah,
I agree.
And if you're watching, what do you got, Bryce? If you're watching the show and you have a Twitter account, you can follow our coverage of the WNBA on Sirens, CLE, WNBA on Twitter. And that's where all of our Cleveland Sirens coverage will be once they begin play in 2008 or 2028.
2008. They've been playing for the last however many years, 16, 18 years.
So
you know what? I'm excited for Cleveland to get a WNBA team again. I was young and I love going to Rockers games. I know you covered the Rockers their entire run in Cleveland.
Yeah, missed one game.
And with the popularity boosting now, and such amazing players like Asia Wilson and Caitlin Clark and Breonna Stewart, Kelsey Plum, and Alyssa Thomas, Kelsey Mitchell. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. There's just great players. You got rookies like Olivia Miles this year, just absolutely killing it. It's very exciting to be able to go down there again and see the Cleveland have a WNBA team again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Bryce, have you watched any WNBA? I think Bryce froze again.
I think so.
Boy, not that that's ever happened on this show before.
No, never.
But, covering it for those 7 years, I mentioned it to Bryce before we started, that I am actually beginning, we haven't really started yet, but I'm collaborating on a book that I'm going to write about the WNBA, the first 7 years of the Cleveland Rockers. And hopefully it will come out not too maybe early 2028, so we can, let people know about the team that was here originally and that the history of that team. It was a good franchise.
Yeah, unless I'm mistaken, I believe they were third in attendance, weren't they?
Their attendance was good. But as you can see behind me, over my shoulder, I have the 1998 Eastern Conference Championship banner. They got eliminated in the second round against Phoenix that year. Cheryl Miller's Phoenix Mercury. Mm-hmm. They were good.
Yeah.
And but there was a lot of exciting things back then. Like it was the beginning of a new league.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I mean, I remember that first night. I remember sitting in the media room. We were watching Los Angeles and New York on TV. They were the first game, of course. It was like, wow, we are at the beginning of something here. Mm-hmm. And a lot of great players that people will never know played in that league. The Rockers had some stars. They had Ann Waters was the center. Ava Nemkova, her number was retired by the team. Michelle Edwards, former Harlem Globetrotter Lynette Woodard, who was the all-time leading scorer in the NCAA until Caitlin Clark broke it. Are you there, Bryce?
I am here.
Okay.
I'm just staying quiet because I feel like I do not know enough about the WNBA to contribute to this conversation.
And I get it. Pittsburgh doesn't have a team. Basketball's probably not that big in Pittsburgh at all, really, is it?
It's kind of an afterthought. So I think the other three sports here, I think a lot of people actually would gravitate toward the Cavs, honestly. So definitely like a fourth place among the major sports.
Okay. But I just enjoyed the WNBA. Back then, I've talked to one of my friends who covered it, both of them actually, who covered it back then and are still covering the Cavs now. Brian Dulick, who works for the Associated Press, who has more than 1,000 games in a row covering the Cavs. And he covered the Rockers. And Bob Finan, who used to write for the News Herald, he now writes for the Medina Gazette. We talked about it, and, it's not going to be the same as it was back then. The players were very grateful to be playing basketball back then. They were grateful to be playing in the United States, because back then you went over to Europe or China or Russia. And I think the girls now, it's more of like the other sports, where the money's taken over a little bit. And they deserve to be paid well. If people are making money, they deserve to be paid well. So that I don't have a problem with. Just maybe some of the attitudes I'm not a huge fan of. So,
real quick, you said Medina Gazette, and I want to give a shout out to Rick Nolan, who when I first started writing, I ran into him at a lot of games, and man, did he help me out a ton. Okay. He really did.
All right.
Shout out Rick Nolan from the Medina Gazette.
So, but you're a Cavs fan, though, right, Bryce? I mean,
yeah, I catch a lot of the games. I try to watch as much as I can. Obviously, we don't get them on TV here, but I watch as much as I can, and I follow it on Twitter all the time.
So have you come to games?
I have. I've been to a handful of games there. Went to a playoff game. Actually, that's the fun story. My first playoff game that I went to, it was against Indiana last year, and it was the game that Halliburton hit the buzzer beater. That's my first ever playoff game. It was sickening.
Well, you're a Cleveland sports fan, so that kind of thing happens.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah. But I was watching the World Cup, and England blew the lead to Spain. That was Spain, right? They blew the lead? Yeah, I believe it was Spain.
Mm-hmm.
No, was it Spain? It was Spain. Yeah, they blew the lead to Spain in the semifinal game. Oh, no, Argentina. Argentina. And I just saw this kid in the stands. This little guy, he's probably like 8 or 9 from England, and he's just sobbing.
Yeah.
And I looked at my wife and I said, well, he should move to Cleveland. He would experience that a couple times a week.
That was a live look at me during the 2016 World Series. I would have been probably around that same age.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
The 2016 World Series.
Let's not talk about it.
I can talk about it. I can talk about it. You know what?
I'm still not over it.
No, I was over it a half hour after, because it was not as bad as 97.
No,
in my mind.
I'll say this. That is, when you look back, very few times in history when you see, okay, well, I remember when this team won the championship. Who did they beat? I don't remember.
Yeah.
That series is going to always be the Cubs won in 2016. Who did they play? They played the Cleveland. They played the Cleveland Indians.
Cleveland, you would, yeah.
No, but there's people all around the country that if you ask them,
well, that's true.
Who
are the two teams that hadn't won in so long?
And it was such a great, game. That's what Game 7s are about.
If you show any baseball fan that Rajai Davis home run, they'll know exactly what game is that from. Yeah. Who was playing? Yeah. They'll know exactly what it's from.
I'm in a group on Facebook called Baseball Nostalgia Now, and there are people in there who, if a Cubs fan says something like crappy to me, like they'll come to my defense.
It feels like
haven't you got to be a better winner, or a bunch of people will comment on the guy's reply or something and say, well, I was rooting for the Indians.
I feel like Cubs and Indians / Guardians fans whether good or bad, are bonded for life over that series.
Absolutely.
Well, no, I can't stand them. I did not mind. I liked Cubs fans before. I can't stand them now.
I said good or bad.
How they acted.
I said good or bad. We're bonded forever.
I do have a funny story about that. I do have a funny story about how the fans get along. I recently, it was last week, I went to the Cubs played the Pirates here in Pittsburgh, and I went to one of the games.
That's a beautiful stadium.
It's amazing. Yes. So I went with a bunch of my friends and who are all Pirates fans, and I told them I will not wear Pirates gear. I'm a Cleveland fan. I can't do that.
Yeah.
So I have this Kenny Lofton shirt on.
That's
this like old school shirt.
I love it.
And there was a lot of Cubs fans there because it's a pretty easy trip for them coming up. And the amount of Cubs fans that walked past me at this game and go,
oh, I think you got cut off again.
What? You there? We got to hear what they said to him.
I know. There we go. He's back.
What did they say? You cut out.
I'm sorry. The amount of Cubs fans that walked past me and said, man, sorry about 2016. We wanted to win. We had to do it to somebody. Like, just the amount of people that gave me crap for that was.
Well, that's fun. The thing. They're not sorry about 2016 if they're coming up to you and saying that shit.
No, you know what I mean? Fun. It's fun to debate. It's fun to talk about it. They're all good people.
But so do you remember? Can you remember? You can remember Game 7?
Absolutely. I could tell you where I watched it, who I watched it with. Like, it's good or bad. It's seared into my mind forever.
Yeah.
So you were sobbing at the end too.
I wouldn't say sobbing. It was more of a disbelief. Like, holy shit, we just blew a 3-1 lead in the World Series.
Here's what I like to think of that. Okay. Yeah, they blew a 3-1 lead. But my thing is, oh God, I might get emotional because I'm just so like, baseball's like my life. You know, I'm on a staff for high school baseball, and I just love baseball. But here's my thought. Rajai Davis hits the home run, and for about a half hour, I thought, we're going to win the World Series.
Yeah.
In the same year that the Cavs won the championship.
Yes. Yep. Well, that's a whole other thing where my friend, who is the head coach of the high school baseball team, the staff I'm on, he has a son a year older than my son. My son was 15 in 2016. His son was 16. And I called him after the Cavs won the championship, and I said, we have a game the day of the parade. Should we cancel the game so we could go to the parade? And he said to me, no, how about we just wait for the parade in November?
Oh.
Because that's how good they were, and we thought, you know, they're gonna win it too. So I've never been to a parade. But
I went to the parade and wore a championship cap, and I had a sunburn so bad in the shape of where the snapback was at the front of my and I'm bald. It was the sunburn was so bad that I think it was like 6 months it took to go away, and now all my ball caps are stretch fit, so I never get another one.
I have sunburn scars on my leg, a spot on my leg from sunburn when I went to spring training in Arizona in 1989. Yeah, I get it checked all the time. Yeah.
That doesn't sound like sunburn, Tim.
Wasn't good. No, wasn't good.
Real quick, but we got 6 minutes.
I guess we ought to talk about the Browns for a couple minutes. I guess.
Wait, real quick, guys. You told your story with I went to the AFC Championship game. The Patriots against the Steelers, because one of my best friends is a Steelers
Joey,
fan.
Him wearing a Lofton jersey, okay.
You
wearing a Browns jersey.
I wore a Browns.
Oh my God.
Browns. I wore a Browns jersey to the Steelers Patriots AFC Championship game. I can't remember what year it was. It was the year the Patriots won. It was in Pittsburgh, so I think it was like 05, 04, something around there.
I wasn't born yet, so that sounds about right.
You know what, Joey? That's almost as bad as the guy that wore the Heat jersey to the
everyone wanted
the day after LeBron's decision.
I was not going to lower myself to wearing a jersey of a team that I am not a fan of.
You don't wear any team.
Obviously, wasn't going to wear Steelers. Couldn't bring my friend was actually friends with he was friends with the guard Gene Murkowski on the Patriots.
Okay.
So couldn't bring myself to wear a Patriots jersey. Wasn't a fan, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go there and do something stupid, and I did.
So we got the Browns for about 4 minutes. I hear there's a quarterback derby going on.
Before we get to the quarterback, everyone, Casey Concepcion is okay. He landed on his shoulder. Nothing. He's got a bruise. He's fine. Okay, the quarterback.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I honestly, I've kind of tried to ignore most of the quarterback or of the training camp news and leave that to you, Joey. Bryce, have you been paying attention at all?
I am really not an NFL fan.
I didn't think you were.
Much. I watch casually. I'll chuck Red Zone on a Sunday. It's not a big deal to me.
Our boy Raul Havana signed Josh Gordon. He'll light it up.
Oh my God!
Well played.
This
well
guy,
played.
He's great.
Raul, we love you, buddy.
Yes, we do. I am a Buccaneers fan, Bryce. I have been a Buccaneers fan since they came in the league in 1976. I was a Browns and Buccaneers fan growing up, and when they moved, I said, "Yeah, no, I'll never root for that team again. You're not going to leave my city and get my money ever again." But they have got my money because every time they play the Buccaneers, I go. But my son usually buys the tickets.
Yeah, I don't go either way on the NFL debate because I live in Pittsburgh and I cheer for Cleveland teams most of the time. So that's everyone's first question is whose NFL team do you root for? And I say neither.
Yeah, don't root for anyone.
You're in good shape.
I'm sorry. Yeah, don't root for the Browns unless you want to be in pain.
Neutral in that case keeps you alive.
Yeah, I'm neither side.
Because both cities' teams can be pretty brutal.
They're more alike than they like to admit, you know.
Oh, they are.
Absolutely. So much passion, just kind of insanity. If we're being honest.
Yes. A friend of mine once said to me, I asked him, why are these Browns fans such idiots? Why are they so crazy? And my friend said to me, he was a Cleveland sports fan his whole life. He said to me, Tim, the smartest people in the world can become idiots when it comes to the Browns. And I think he's right.
I will say I think the smallest of differences is that the Browns have been a terrible run organization for the past almost 30 years, and the Steelers have been a very well run organization for the past 60 years.
Well, 60.
Yeah, a handful of Super Bowl rings changes things.
I mean, they've had 3 coaches in 60 years.
But in their first 35 years, they made the playoffs once.
Still 60 years. And
so the Browns, if the Browns can break this being horrible in the next 10 years, they'll beat them.
if the Browns go on a run like the Steelers have, when I'm 101 years old, I can say, oh, look, they've been good for the past 60 years.
So, so we don't know who the quarterback's going to be.
Raul,
I hear Sanders is ahead of Watson,
though. Raul Havana coming in with at least the Browns won games when Art owned the team.
Well, that is true.
Stirring the pot.
Yeah,
that's true. Art was, people hate Art a lot, but I actually, some night we'll tell a good story about Art Modell.
I'd prefer if we did.
No, there's a good one. There's a good one, and it has to do with Jeff Shudell. So, but we're going to be done now here. I want to thank Bryce for being on tonight. Thank you so much, Bryce.
Thank you, Bryce. One round of applause.
And but that's I think that's going to be it. And we will be back next week for another episode of Two Guys Talk Cleveland Sports. Thank you so much.